It happened again. Do you know that feeling? You wake up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, and for a split second, your legs are no longer your own. A near fall. Your heart pounds in your chest. Not because you're afraid of the dark, but because you're afraid of your own body. You're afraid that one day, you won't be quick enough to catch yourself on the wall. People talk about heart attacks and strokes, but no one warns us about a midnight thief that quietly steals our strength. One that doesn't take your life, but takes your independence, piece by piece, every time you close your eyes. It turns your body into a prison and makes you a patient in your own home. The greatest pain isn't the weakness itself. The greatest pain is seeing the worry in your partner's eyes, and knowing you're slowly becoming a burden to them. If these words resonate with you, somewhere deep down, show me a sign. Leave a comment with the number 1. So we know that in this fight, none of us is fighting alone. After a night just like that, one near fall too many, I decided I had to find out who this midnight thief was. I went to my doctor and said, I refuse to accept that senior muscle loss is just a normal part of getting older. There has to be an explanation. And that's when he said something that made my heart skip, and changed my fight forever. The doctor looked at me and said, Harold, the problem isn't your age. The problem is that your body is leaking. It's like a leaky bucket. A perfect analogy. No matter how much protein, how many supplements you pour in, your senior health will just drain away if you don't patch the holes first. Over the next 30 minutes, I'm not just going to show you where those holes are. I am going to give you the exact blueprint to fire the midnight thief from your life. This is the strategy that helped me, a 76-year-old man, not only save my muscles but also regain my confidence with every single step. And make sure you don't miss a second of this. Because at the very end, I will reveal the number 1 weapon. It's not just the biggest patch for the bucket, the one thing that reactivated something I thought was gone forever, the balance and reflexes of a man 20 years younger. Now, let's begin by diagnosing your own leaky bucket. When I told my doctor about my fears, about the midnight thief, he didn't hand me a stack of complicated medical documents. He did just one thing. He took a piece of paper, just like this one, and he drew me a bucket. A simple drawing, but it was the most profound answer I have ever received about my senior health. He said, Harold, imagine your strength is the water in this bucket. Every day, you try to pour more water in. A protein-rich meal, a walk around the park, that's you, pouring water in. But, he emphasized, your problem isn't how much you're pouring in. The problem is at the bottom of the bucket. It has 3 major holes that are leaking water out, all day and all night. And when he described those 3 holes, a chill ran down my spine because he was describing my life perfectly. Hole number 1, the rust within, silent inflammation that stiffens your back, makes your knees crack, and quietly eats your muscles. This is chronic, silent inflammation. It's not a sharp, acute pain. It's a hidden saboteur. It's the reason why your back is stiff when you wake up in the morning. It's the reason your knees crackle every time you stand up. That constant, nagging ache and fatigue. That isn't old age. It's the midnight thief drilling holes in your bucket while you sleep. It silently erodes your muscles. The second hole, the faulty wiring. This is when your nerve signals grow weak. It's the cause of that heart-stopping moment when your brain says, step, but your foot hesitates for half a second. Or when you reach for a glass and nearly drop it. That isn't clumsiness. That is the wiring in your body short-circuiting, making the connection between your brain and your muscles unreliable. And this is the root cause of the risk of falling. It's the beginning of losing your independence and the key to fall prevention. And the third hole, the most subtle of all, the power plant on strike. Inside every one of our muscle cells are tiny power plants. After age 60, these power plants start to get lazy. They go on strike. That's why you can eat a hearty meal and still feel sluggish. Why do you come back from a walk feeling exhausted instead of energized? Your body has the fuel, but the factory refuses to produce the power. Energy isn't created, muscles aren't nourished, and they just waste away. The rust, the faulty wiring, and the power plant on strike. And here is the cruelest truth. These three holes don't work alone. They are an alliance. They reinforce each other, making your leaky bucket leak even faster. Now you see why every effort feels wasted, because you've been filling a bucket with no bottom. Let's patch it. You've been trying to pour water into a bucket with no bottom. So, of the three holes I've just described, which one sounds the most like you? Let me know in the comments with a number. Number 1 for the rust, number 2 for the faulty wiring, or number 3 for the power plant on strike. Just one number. So we can identify our enemy. But there is good news. Once you know exactly where your enemy is, you can destroy it. In the next part, I will give you the very first weapons. We're not going to try to pour more water in. We are going to start patching this bucket. When first responders arrive at the scene of an accident, what is the very first thing they do? They don't try to make the victim stand up and walk. They don't ask if the victim wants a hearty meal. The first, most critical job, is to stop the bleeding. They must stop the loss before they can even think about recovery. The war against the midnight thief is the same. Before we can talk about rebuilding muscle, before we can dream of strong legs, we have to patch those critical holes. We have to stop the bleeding in our bucket. And to do that, I was equipped with an elite team. I call them the first responders. 3 initial weapons, 3 dedicated soldiers, whose mission is to rush in and stabilize the situation. The first weapon on the team, specializing in the rust from within, the nightly peacemaker. For me, it was magnesium, in the glycinate form, that made the biggest difference. Why? Because it's a masterful diplomat. It enters the body smoothly, without causing a riot in your digestive system. Its mission is to put out the fires of chronic inflammation that are eroding your muscles. I remember nights tormented by leg cramps, mornings when I'd wake up feeling like a rusted tin man. That was the sound of my body screaming from the assault of inflammation. When I started using this peacemaker every night, the magic didn't happen instantly. But after about 2 weeks, I felt a profound shift. I was no longer being woken up by those sudden cramps. In the morning, my joints felt lubricated. The stiffness began to fade. The fire was being brought under control. The second weapon, targeting the faulty wiring, the signal repairman. This weapon is vitamin B12, but again, not the common type. It has to be methylcobalamin, and it must be taken in a sublingual form, under the tongue. Imagine this, your brain is the TV station, broadcasting a crystal clear signal. But your legs are an old television set with a fuzzy, snowy screen. That is what a faulty nerve signal is. This signal repairman works differently. It dissolves under the tongue and, in my experience, seemed to wake up the connection between my brain and my muscles. I used to feel like I was walking with boots full of mud. Heavy, slow, and imprecise. But once the signal repairman was on the job, I began to feel that connection again. My steps became steadier. I could step off a curb without having to stare down at my own feet. The signal was being restored. And the third weapon in the first response team, a silent guardian, the cellular shield. This is natural vitamin E. If magnesium is the firefighter putting out the blaze, vitamin E is the one spraying a protective foam to prevent it from spreading. Every night, our bodies endure an attack from free radicals, sinister molecules that cause rust at the cellular level. Vitamin E is the shield that protects each of your fragile muscle cells from that assault. It creates a safe environment where the repair work can take place. It doesn't provide a sensation as distinct as the other 2 weapons, but its role is critical. It's like the silent guard on duty, ensuring that while we are patching the holes, no saboteur can drill new ones. The peacemaker, the signal repairman, and the cellular shield. This is the essential trio to get started. These are the first steps to taking back control. Now, be honest with yourself. Of these 3 soldiers in the first responders, which one do you feel you need the most right now? Let me know by commenting with a letter, A for the peacemaker, B for the signal repairman, or C for the cellular shield. Identifying your greatest weakness is the first step towards strength. We have successfully stopped the bleeding. The patient is stable. The biggest holes are under control. Now, the real fun begins. In the next part, I will introduce you to the construction crew. We're going to stop patching and start rebuilding. We are going to pour water back into the bucket. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the difference between a pile of bricks and a mighty fortress? This is a brick. And this is mortar. You can have 1,000 of the world's best bricks, but if they are just lying there in a heap, they will forever be just a useless, chaotic mess. They are not a home. For years, I did exactly that with my own body. I ate plenty of chicken, countless eggs, and I drank protein shakes. I was throwing tons of bricks at myself. But I kept getting weaker. Why? Because I hadn't hired the construction crew. The first responders, in the last part, helped us stop the bleeding. Now, the bucket is stable. It's time for us to stop defending and start attacking. It is time to rebuild from the ground up. And this crew has only 2 core units. First, we have the perfect pair. I call them vitamin B6 and vitamin C. They never work alone. Here's why. Vitamin B6 is the master builder. Its job is to take every brick of protein you eat and place it precisely where it belongs on the wall of your muscle. Without this builder, that protein just floats aimlessly through your body and is eventually flushed away. You're eating well, but it's all for nothing. But builders and bricks are not enough. You need something to bind them together. And that is vitamin C, the collagen mortar mixer. Vitamin C is the catalyst that creates collagen, that miraculous mortar that binds your muscle fibers, tendons, and ligaments. Without it, your muscle wall, even if it gets built, will be loose, fragile, and prone to collapse. This is the secret few people tell you. No matter how expensive your collagen supplement is, taking it without vitamin C is like trying to plaster a wall with dry sand and expecting it to stick. When I combined this pair, I started to feel a different kind of change. It wasn't the feeling of less pain. It was the feeling of being full again. That hollowed-out sensation in my muscles began to disappear. I could feel the foundation being laid. But a construction site cannot function without a boss. And this is where the crew's most important weapon comes into play, the site foreman. This was the most stunning discovery of my entire journey. It's vitamin D3. We have always been told that D3 is only for bone health. A critical mistake. Modern science has now proven that vitamin D3 functions as a hormone. It is not an ordinary vitamin. It's the foreman that tells your muscle cells, it's time to rebuild. Start growing stronger. Without the command from this foreman, the perfect pair, no matter how hard they work, will operate chaotically, without direction. The construction site will remain in a state of anarchy. When I started supplementing with D3 correctly, especially in the evening with a little healthy fat, it felt like the entire engine inside my body restarted. The energy began to return, not the temporary jolt from coffee, but a deep, enduring strength from within. Bricks and mortar, placed in the right spot, under the command of a brilliant general. That is how a fortress is built. Now, I want you to ask yourself a very simple question. All this time, do you think you've been giving your body both the bricks and the mortar? Or were you like the old me, just focusing on the bricks while forgetting the builder and the binding agent? Let me know in the comments, yes, if you are confident you've been doing it right, or no, if you realize you've been missing something. There's no wrong answer. Realization is the first step to change. Our house has been built. The foundation is solid. The walls are high. From the outside, it looks perfect. But, it could still collapse in a storm. There is one final secret. A small detail that determines everything. It's not another weapon. It's the one thing that binds all the other weapons together. In the final part, I will reveal to you the keystone, the one thing that turned my house into an impregnable fortress. Have you ever wondered why the great Roman aqueducts and colosseums have stood for 2,000 years of wind and rain, while many modern buildings begin to decay after just a few decades? The secret is not in the quality of the individual stones. Their great secret lies in one single thing. It's called the keystone. This stone itself is not the biggest or the strongest. But it is the most important. Because it is the one thing that locks all the other stones into place. It distributes the weight, it creates perfect balance. Without it, the entire arch, even if built with the finest stones, would collapse under pressure. The house of strength we just built in the last part is the same. It has a foundation, high walls, and a roof. But it is still fragile. It could still fall in a storm of illness. It needs a keystone. And this was the discovery that changed my life. This was the final, ultimate weapon that my construction crew was equipped with. It's not a brick. It's not mortar. It is the supreme traffic controller for the entire body. And its name is vitamin K2. Specifically, the -7 Malawian Kwacha's form. For years, like millions of others, I was making a terrible mistake. We were told to take calcium. We were told to take vitamin D to absorb the calcium. But no one told us the most important part: after it enters the bloodstream, where does the calcium go? And vitamin K2 is the answer. It is the traffic cop standing at the crossroads of your body. If K2 is present, it signals, hey, calcium, go this way. Into the bones and muscles, where you belong. Without K2, calcium may wander to places it doesn't belong, and that can cause trouble over time. It goes into your soft tissues, causing pain. It turns an essential nutrient into a dangerous enemy. This is where it all explodes. This was my aha moment. Vitamin K2 doesn't just work alone. It unlocks the full potential of vitamin D3. D3 brings calcium into the body, but it is K2 that decides whether that calcium builds a fortress or destroys a city. They are an inseparable power duo for your bone health and muscle function. Without K2, supplementing with high doses of D3 and calcium could do more harm than good. When I added this keystone to my nightly regimen, a feeling I had long forgotten suddenly returned. It wasn't muscle power. It was stability. That deep, internal sense of balance. I no longer felt wobbly when I stood up suddenly. I felt like my feet were rooted to the ground, like an old oak tree. That's when I knew the midnight thief had no way back in. Now, I want to ask you an important question, and please answer with just one word. Before watching this video, had you ever heard about this traffic cop role of vitamin K2, explained correctly like this? Let me know by commenting yes or no. Your answer will tell me if this critical message is truly getting out there. The house has been locked down. The midnight thief has no way in. The war for our strength is nearing its end. And now, it's time for us to talk about a legacy. How can you build a fortress of your own, starting tonight? Join me for the final part. Last week, fate sent me one final test. My wife silently placed a jar of pickles on the small table next to me. A silent challenge. I looked at the jar, and then I looked at my own hands, not the trembling hands from my memory, but the hands I have today. I took it. One decisive twist. Snap. The thing that truly broke in that moment wasn't the lid. It was the invisible chain that had bound me for so long. The ghost of helplessness, of fear, was banished from this house, forever. Our journey has come to its conclusion. Together, we have unmasked the midnight thief. We learned how to stop the bleeding in our leaky bucket with the first responders. We learned how to turn the rubble of protein into high walls with the construction crew. And most importantly, we learned how to lock the fortress with the Keystone K2, turning a fragile house into an enduring legacy. Those 7 weapons are not a shopping list. They are a declaration. A declaration that we refuse to be defined by the number on our birth certificate. And now, it is your turn. I have walked this path before. I have drawn the map out of the prison of weakness. I call it the Nightly Strength Protocol, and it is waiting for you at the first link in the description below this video. It is not a gift. It is a weapon. A weapon I am passing on to you. My question for you now is very simple. Will you let the midnight thief continue to visit you every night, stealing your dignity and your freedom, piece by piece? Or will you rise, arm yourself, and declare to it, this house is mine? If you are ready, if you are fed up with feeling weak, then show the world. Comment on SA Ingle word below. One word that represents your decision today. Comment, ready. This is your key to lock the fortress and keep the midnight thief out for good. Just that one word, to mark the first day of the rest of your life. Remember this. This strength isn't just for opening pickle jars. It's so you can get down on the floor to play with your grandchild without the fear of back pain. It's so you can carry your suitcase and travel to the places you've always dreamed of. It is so you can live, with all its fullness and pride, and not merely exist. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Hit the like button as a commitment to yourself. And send this weapon to the comrades you know who need it too. Don't let your age define you. Let your strength tell your story.